Well, I say we call it a day. I mean, I nailed the questionnaire, and you're swimming in cacti. Can't we just chalk this up to a hilarious mistake and move on?
No, we can't, Eleanor. There's no such thing as a mistake in this realm. And yet you are somehow a mistake. I mean, you're a giant chunk of spinach in the teeth of the universe.
Oh, the defender of the universe.
Flash. He saved every one of us. Do you know that song because you know Queen, or do you know that song because of the hit comedy film Ted?
Actually...
Or have you seen Flash Gordon, the movie, as a child?
Okay, it was first Blades of Glory, then
Is that in
Queen
that movie?
Flash Gordon.
I saw Blades of Glory in the theater.
Nice.
Did you? Did you see it in the theater?
Probably. I was a big Napoleon Dynamite and Will Ferrell fan, so...
Maybe you have this experience, too. Seeing movies when I was a kid, somehow as conservative and constrictive my house could be at times, I went to see a lot of movies with my mom that she should not have taken me to.
I saw Freddy vs. Jason in the theater when I was 6.
With your mom?
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool and fun and a neat part of our relationship that I went to see. Do you know the movie Fired Up?
Yes, that's
about like two boys. One of them's Vaughn from Community. Two boys who pretend to be cheerleaders to get laid at a cheerleader camp. My mom took me and my childhood best friend to see that, and we were like younger than 13 for certain.
That's so funny.
I don't know, and it's so crazy that
I saw Watchmen midnight release with my mom in the theater.
I was not supposed to watch stuff like that. I hid a lot of the things I was watching, but I did have that experience of going to the movies was like a different thing. Well, hi, friend.
Hey, buddy.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I forgot we did start recording. We talked about that, didn't we?
Well, we did start recording, and then we started talking, and now I think we're just doing the podcast, don't you?
Oh, shit. We're here now?
I think so.
Boom. My little truth orb just flashed green.
Put away any sense of real Steven now.
Okay.
The character has begun. Now you're in character.
What's up, Zach? What's going on today?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Into the Time Knife, a Good Place rewatch. We're here. We're back for episode 8. We're past the halfway point of season 1. So we've got to start thinking about what we're going to do to wrap this up in a special way as we get towards the end of the first season. It's crazy that we're a few weeks away from being finished with the first season already.
I know, it's nuts. It seemed like at first like I was just waiting to get to this part of the season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because a lot of exciting stuff happens. But now that we're here, I'm like, holy crap, that went so quick.
And the episodes didn't feel like waiting to get to this part. There were plenty of things to dig into, even the lighter episodes. I'm glad to be back. It's been 2 weeks since Steven and I have recorded and spent this time together. I'm glad to be talking with you. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a good show. Let's kick it off.
Let's do it.
Okay, I want to start off the show by shouting out our $10 and up patrons over at patreon.com/Can't Disappoint Podcast. Those beloved people over there are Danny M. Lugo, Mary Baker Budisa, Brian Thurman, and Autumn Marsh. 4 people we love very dearly. 4 of my favorite women on the internet, for sure.
Top 5 for me.
Who's number 5? Your mom and Danny are in there. Who's number 5?
I didn't say that they were number 5, Zach, in no particular order.
Who's number 1?
I don't know. I didn't have an answer to the bit.
That's okay.
I should have thought that out a little more first, Zach. I'm sorry. I'll do better next time.
You're still real Steven. You've got to shove that all out and be in podcast character.
Yeah.
Fully.
Dang it.
Don't let any semblance of the real human being you are come through
for
the next hour and 20 minutes. But thanks to those patrons, and again, patreon.com/Can't Disappoint Podcast. Every week we do a live pre-show before we record the podcast. This podcast is a week early over on the Patreon.
Sarah Koenig from
NPR. That from NPR? That's your number 1?
Number 3. She's in the mix.
You've got a full rewatch podcast, Brokeback Bebop, talking about Cowboy Bebop, that's exclusive to the Patreon, and a new Patreon exclusive podcast is starting any week. So it's a great time to hop on board at the Patreon and get a little bit more of your buddies every week. How are you doing,
train's
friend?
rolling.
How have your 2 weeks been?
They've been good. They've been busy, but they've been good, Zach. I definitely missed you. There were a few times where I was like, Can't wait to talk to Zach about
I
this.
just heard your phone vibrate.
No, you didn't. It's on
Yes, I did.
silent.
There you go. Put her to sleep. Put her to sleep. Keep your texting secret during the program, okay? What were you saying? It's good to see me or something?
Yeah, it's great to see you. It was a long gap for us. We normally see each other fairly frequently, especially right before the long gap. We had seen each other twice in the span of like 3 days. So
You seem energized. You seemed ready and raring to go. Do you feel well rested?
You know, I'm rejuvenated, Zach.
Yeah.
I just emerged from my cryo chamber that I lay in for 6 minutes every night instead of sleeping, and I'm here. I'm like a freshly born baby.
To this new freshly born baby, from the last 2 weeks of your past life, did anything happen that was extravagant to the point of
sure
mentioning on the podcast?
I'll hit the highlights.
Yeah,
let's see. I saw Avatar: The Way of Water. Thought it was really good. We did an event for work.
Thoughts on Spider?
Listeners.
Avatar: The Way of Water.
Spider's fine. He's Tarzan.
Get the kid a pair of pants. That Donnie ass Wild Thornberry's motherfucker.
Yeah.
Spider's the
Spider's
white guy
a little bit
who
of a
gives
bitch,
himself
but
dreads.
yeah,
I'm one of
quite
you guys.
And they're like, not really. He was basically, let's say, what if we put Tarzan as the D plot in our movie? And that was Spider's character.
Spider, you can hang with us. We like you, but you're not allowed to
say
the Navi N-word.
You can't
at
say
all.
the Navi N-word. Got to keep it to yourself.
Neither can Kate Hudson, who is one of the Navi. She can't
so
say
is
it either.
Kate Blanchett.
No, it's Kate Hudson. It's Kate Blanchett in it?
Because Kate Blanchett held her breath for like 7 minutes. Are you the one who's mistaken?
No, because it's the first time James Cameron and Kate Hudson got together since Titanic. I think you're mistaken, my friend.
Kate Winslet is who you're thinking of.
Well, then we're both mistaken. It's
we're both wrong.
Kate Winslet.
It's Kate Winslet.
It's Kate Winslet. You're sure
Meet in the middle.
Hudson and Kate Blanchett weren't the same character in Titanic?
Saw Avatar. That was good. Pretty movie. We had a work event where I danced a bunch of times. 175 in one day.
I want you listeners to understand the magnitude of that. You professionally dance for a living. You had this event where you dance with students, with
this one was students.
Students a bunch of times for like competition, right? For them.
They get critiques from judges. So
it's for them,
feedback.
but you are the teacher that has to do this for every single student, and each of them dances quite a few times. Like
they range. The lowest number of dances I had someone do was 30, and the highest was 75.
And it's just, do they dance for each individual judge?
So basically there's like, let's say there's 20 people on the floor.
Okay.
And the judges have like a piece of paper with their name on it, and they have to like write critiques for each of the people they're assigned to.
And they have to do it 30 times. It can't just be everyone's in the room at once. They have to do it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
So just think of that, listener, that if you are a dancer competing for judgment 30 times, how I'm sure emotionally and physically exhausting that is for the student. Then the teacher, who has to put on the mask of professionalism throughout the whole time, has to do this for all of these students. And you said how many times in total you did?
175, not counting my pro performance with esteemed patron Danny M. Lugo.
Yeah.
We did the power line routine from a Goofy movie. It was really fun.
That is really cute.
I wore the costume.
Do you have a video that I can see, or that our patrons can see?
Yeah, I can send it your way.
You should send me that.
Absolutely.
If that's not worth your $5, people. Well, that's incredible, and you're such an athlete. Truly, I'm inspired by you. I truly am. That's incredible.
Thanks,
I
buddy.
mean that. Even though I can't understand it on the nobody understands the amount of work the person who is passionate about it puts in, right? But I do see that you put a lot of yourself, too much of yourself into it. And I hope the audience didn't think that was boring, because I think that's insane that you dance 100.
Far from the first thing I put too much of myself into, Zach. You know that firsthand. Hey-yo.
Yeah, I was gonna try to tell. Oh, the best movie. So I've seen a lot of movies. We're getting close in the podcast timeline to the Oscars, so I'll shut up about it.
In podcast
very
timeline,
soon.
Isn't it already Oscar?
No, this comes out next week.
So
it'll be the 6th. It'll be less than a week before the Oscars.
Wow.
And as of right now, 2 weeks, I've got like six movies left to watch, to have seen I've seen all the shorts, to have seen everything nominated for the Oscars this year. And I watched a lot over the last week, and I think the best thing I watched was Babylon.
Nice.
Which is a really divisive movie because literally the movie starts with an elephant shitting all over somebody and you see it happen. And some people are like, oh, my pearls. And some people are like, this is cinema.
Don't put that in my film.
In the same year that the boring-ass, bland-ass Fabelmans that I'm hating just because it's a fine movie, but I'm just mad. I'm just, my panties are all in a knot.
It just seems a little white
for
me,
Fabelmans.
Zach. I'm going to be honest.
It's incredibly white. What do you guys think, listeners? Steven and I are talking about maybe doing
What do you say? What do you guys? I thought that you meant like me speaking for like you guys as the black community. I really was excited to answer.
I'll try to pepper that in later.
What do you guys think of white people?
What do you listeners think if Steven and I did a monthly movie thing? Because something as out of your interest as the Fabelmans might be super fun to put in front of you and to talk about for an hour. And all kinds of stuff. I want to do that, so I want people to be excited about it.
And I have a lot of weird shit I want to make Zach watch, so.
Babylon took the boring-ass Fabelmans and made my type of movie about movies. So check that one out if you haven't. And I saw Hairspray.
Have you seen Blonde yet?
No, that's one of the few I still need to watch.
I want to see that, just because I like
Ana de Armas. I don't care that. I know I'm not going to like it that much
Monroe.
probably, but I will watch it.
You remember when we were in like 5th or 6th grade and all of a sudden every girl got obsessed with Marilyn Monroe?
Not really.
No,
but
is that a public
timeless.
School thing?
That kind of just happens.
Yeah.
She kind of lives forever.
Sure.
Goodbye,
you get it, Norma
Norma
Jean. Yeah. Have you ever seen any Marilyn Monroe movies? Because I've seen more than my fair share.
Everything I know about Marilyn Monroe is from Smash. And that's not an overstatement. If you don't know Smash, give it a Google. That's everything I know about Marilyn Monroe.
Oh shit, people don't know what Smash is, do they?
Well, why would they?
Catherine McPhee, the blonde one? Come on.
And I'm all about Christian Borle, who played like the male of the man-woman team. I really like him a lot. There were a lot of good people in that cast.
Yeah.
The show got really bad.
Real
but
fast.
It was good in the beginning, and it had some interesting songs.
Yeah.
Look up Smash. You want us to do a Smash cast?
Yeah, Smash cast.
I would love to talk about Smash.
I'd be down. I had such a
anyway.
big crush on the foil to Catherine McPhee. I can't remember the actress's name.
Absolutely. Me either, but she's great. She's a Broadway actress. Separate from Smash, I saw Hairspray, the Broadway touring performance.
Live
and
and
I saw
in person.
RuPaul Drag Race veteran. I don't know if I should call them veterans, but
yeah,
why not?
Nina West was
Nina
on
West
season
was
6.
the mother in Hairspray and was incredible. And I got to meet.
Shit, was she? She was in
out of
season
character,
6.
so I got to meet him after the show, and it was a wonderful, lovely, wholesome moment. Nina West is absolutely so kind to anybody that wanted to talk, and it was really wholesome and lovely to see. And we got a picture.
Hey, Diane. I'm sorry, Dionne Warwick is our new new.
She just needs the work
scribe.
Really bad.
Dionne, can you please strike from the record where I said season 6? Nina West was season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race. Sorry about that for you drag heads at home.
But do you think it's cool that I met Nina West?
I think it's really cool.
Most
I'm
impressed
jealous.
you've ever been. I wasn't expecting to.
That's one of the most impressive ever been with something you told me, Zach. I got very excited.
It was really cool, and they were so nice, like incredibly, overwhelmingly nice, and eye contact, and wanted and listened to what you had to say to them, and was one of those people that understands that people in moments like that have the thing that they've just got to tell the person.
Yeah.
And gives that person the time and space to do that. When it'd be so easy to be like, hi, snap a picture, sign your thing. Also to take a moment to lock eyes and listen is incredible.
Yeah, that's so, and that's really happy to hear that, because that was like their thing.
It is really happy to hear that,
they were
isn't it?
super, yeah, it's really happy for the world, Zach.
It was.
Zachary.
It's nice when people that don't have to be that nice are that nice. Well, let's get into
They're just like
The Good
us.
Place. This was a fun little preamble chat. I'm just
it was
popping with energy today, I guess. This has been fun. Let's talk about The Good Place.
I'm about to burst.
Today we're talking about Chapter 8, Season 1, Episode 8 of The Good Place, Most Improved Player. Get ready for this. This episode was directed by Tristram Shapiro, who is a big name for me and Steven because our last podcast was about Community, and he directed 24 episodes of Community. But we'll get to that in a second. This is his only episode he directed of The Good Place. But this guy has an insane list of credits that I wrote down a bunch of, and I usually stick to the ones that shows that they directed multiple episodes of. There were so many classic shows that he directed one episode of, too, that I'm not going to mention. But he directed 6 episodes of I'm Alan Partridge. Are you familiar with Alan Partridge?
That sounds vaguely familiar, but like of the Partridge Family?
No, he's a British character played by a comedian, and he's done specials and series as this character for like 30 plus years. He's just like a staple of British comedy. And Tristram directed 6 episodes of I'm Alan Partridge, which made me think, isn't Tristram Shapiro the Britishest name?
Yes. There could not be a more Tristram.
He also directed 12 episodes of another British comedy highlight, Peep Show. Do you know Peep Show?
I do know Peep Show.
I think that show is the one where it's like filmed point of view. Is that correct?
So. Yeah.
He directed over here in the good old US of A.
Hey-o.
Directed 2 episodes of Nurse Jackie, 2 episodes of Veep, 5 episodes of Workaholics, 3 episodes of New Girl, 4 episodes of Parks and Rec, 3 episodes of Happy Endings, 24 episodes of Community, which I wrote down the highlights were Contemporary American Poultry, Paradigms of Human Memory, Pillows and Blankets, and Cooperative Calligraphy. Tristram directed the Christmas film A Merry Friggin' Christmas with Joel McHale and Robin Williams.
Yeah, I remember that.
And since then, he's directed 5 episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, 10 episodes of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, and 5 episodes of Superstore. So what
10 episodes is a lot of episodes of Kimmy Schmidt.
That's like a whole season, just about.
Yeah.
And speaking of whole season, he directed like more than half of season 4 of Community. Like 7 of the 13 episodes he directed, which is crazy. A lot shorter of a list, but just as impressive. The episode was written by Dan Schofield, who in The Good Place goes on to write Team Cockroach. He co-wrote Rhonda, Diana, Jake, and Trent with Jen Statsky. He wrote The Brainy Bunch, and he wrote the episode The Answer. And outside of the show, he wrote 1 episode of Monk, 1 episode of AP Bio, and this is a really, really interesting credit. He was a writer on 371 episodes of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That's incredible.
Because
what the hell are you writing for that show?
Questions, the dialogue of the host, I'm sure, is scripted.
Oh, wow. Good for him.
And this
he
episode...
was there for the Meredith Vieira years, and the... who else was there?
I think Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel does it now?
I think he did do it for a while.
Wow. That seems terrible.
Jimmy Kimmel. I'm so excited for the Oscars, and Jimmy Kimmel's hosting it.
Again? Didn't he do it?
He did it the year where they royally fucked up and gave the Oscar to La La Land. Lily and I watched that clip just the other day because they had never seen it.
Really?
I watched it live. Awkward. I watched it like the morning after the video, and it's still probably the craziest thing that's happened in Oscars.
They said all the white people off the stage. Moonlight wins.
And the guy being like, "This is not a joke. Moonlight has won Best Picture," being really matter of fact. And they got to give more of their acceptance speech than I thought. They were like 2 or 3 of them had given their acceptance speech, and then Moonlight. It was a crazy moment.
That was
Moonlight
wild.
Is like a film about Black queer people, and
Moonlight's great, and its moment was taken away.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I haven't seen it, and
really
I should.
Good.
It's
really
it's
so
sad.
Good. Mahershala Ali is amazing in it. He's a few actors who do a great job.
It's really sad that movie and that win was as big as a win like Parasite, or as big as a win like Everything Everywhere will probably be this year. And its moment is always. I'm sure a lot of people kind of just think that La La Land was Best Picture that year.
I'm sure.
Anyway, back to Most Improved Player. This episode originally aired on October 27th, 2016. And let's get right into it. With time to shake off that rust, my friend, and remember that our first segment here is one of my favorites, where Steven has 20 seconds to tell the audience, myself, and anyone who cares to listen what happened this week on The Good Place, as well as you can for a grade. It's time, everyone, for Did Steven watch the episode this week?
Did Steven watch the episode this week? I was going with like a Thomas the Train thing, but I wasn't sure if that was going to read.
It didn't, but I'm glad you explained it anyway. I've got my timer ready. How are you feeling, Ringo Starr? Are you ready to...
I wrote a song about an octopus.
Are you ready to face the music. Do you think you can do it?
I think so. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff that happens like
Sure.
in the last 10 minutes of this episode that are
Sure.
going to make it. I know the episode's only 20 minutes, but there's like a lot of stuff. So we'll see how I do, Zach. I'm going to do my best. That's all I can do, right?
Right. And that made me excited to talk through the episode because my versions of the episode is definitely longer every week. My episode was like 25 minutes this week.
Oh, man,
So it'll
I'm
be
21.
interesting. I want you, when I describe something that you didn't see, I want you to call it out. Although that
will.
might just give away how little you were actually paying attention to the episode.
It might be.
All right,
That
20 seconds
didn't
around the
happen.
clock. Are you ready? Gather yourself. Are you ready?
I think so. I think I've got my game plan.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Eleanor confessed last week, so now Michael is interviewing everyone to see if they are bad or good. So he's interviewing Eleanor, and we're going through her life, because Janet, after getting a bunch of cacti, got the right file, and Eleanor's bad, so he calls the train to come get her, but guess what? He thinks maybe she should stay, so he wants to keep her. And the bad place
Stop.
people came... Fuck me in the goddamn throat. Zach, you threw me off with your goddamn... Don't show me the time.
Well,
I
you
don't
know-
need to know the time.
I absolutely see that argument, and that's why I stopped pretty quickly. My thought was purely on, I think that would be nice for the audience, since we're a video podcast, to see my stopwatch this
Okay,
time.
that's fair. I
That
see
was
to
why
not
I
look.
did it. My thought was in no way that would mess with you, and of course it did. So that
okay,
will
it's
be
okay.
considered into your pretty poor performance that you
It
just
got
did.
it got real bad.
You did get some details, but I don't know if any of them were complete at a time. It was like a little bit here and then the rest of it maybe later. I think that would have been like a C minus, but because of my folly, even though I hope now you understand why I did it,
I
that
do.
I was not trying to mess
I
with you.
hold no grudge, Zach.
I'll bump you up to a C plus because of it.
Thank you. I think that the original score was fair. I think the adjustment is generous. I appreciate that.
It's
Thank
not
you,
very
Zach.
often that I would adjust, but I think that's a reason why I
You
should.
never
We're feeling
adjust.
great today. Yeah.
Zach's like, I am where I am. You can work around that.
I'm not getting back up and moving, so do what you gotta do with me here firmly. Let's do some trivia. I've got
Let's
some
do
questions
it.
for you. A decent amount, so let's just start it. I'm gonna start off.
Yeah, go for
When
it.
was Eleanor born, and when did she say she was born?
That was my first question too,
Okay.
but she says she's born in 1986, but she was really born in 1982.
Do you remember month, day?
Don't remember the month or the day.
Yep.
It was in
You could-
Phoenix,
a simple
Arizona.
No would have sufficed. October 14th.
October. Damn, I was gonna say like September or something. So
Yeah. Go
glad
ahead.
I didn't.
Give me one before I take it.
Where did Jason's friend Peanut have snitches get stitches tattooed?
On the back of his tricep.
Nice.
That was one of my questions as well. This one is a little bit of a thinker, and I hope I got it right because I really tried. How
Yeah.
many cactuses do we see Janet summon? File of pictures, not counting.
I really.
And I have the
really
longer
thought-
cut of the episode, so who knows?
I really thought about making this a question, but I didn't know the answer, and I didn't want to rewind again.
Take a guess.
11.
No, because I am asking purely how many do we see her summon?
Oh, not how many are on the.
including
Oh,
ones
then
that
that's
are
like
scattered
6.
around the office. That's impossible to count.
Yeah.
It's not 6. That's close. It was 4 to my counting.
Ooh,
so
okay.
maybe we're both wrong. But 4 cactuses we saw her present to somebody.
Because one time she like gives like 3
cacti
in one
sorry,
go,
not cactuses.
right? Doesn't she give like multiple in one go one time?
No, they go back and forth a bunch before she finally hands it to him. It's just one cactus.
Just one cactus. That's one of my favorite scenes in the season. It's so funny. Now, Janet, I have the file behind my back. It's not a cactus.
Yes.
Not a cactus. You're sure it's not going to be a cactus?
And the little
No.
bloop. Of course, it's a cactus.
Yeah. Thank you, Janet.
Go ahead. What's your next one?
My next one. What is a churro dog?
That's one of my questions. It is a hot dog with 2 churros as a bun tied together by a Slim Jim, with an endless supply of ranch dressing for dipping.
Ugh. Your turn.
I would try it for the vine.
Not.
but
I don't
buy
want
it as a choice.
the ranch dressing. Everything else I'm down with.
The Slim Jim with
Yeah, I
the
love
churro?
Slim Jims.
I would never buy it as a choice, but I would do it to say that I have climbed that mountain. You know what I'm
Like
saying?
that. Like it has me salivating right now. It sounds delicious.
It sounds like some state fair food for sure.
I'm a fan of the salty sweet, so I'm all about it.
What are the examples Michael gives of vanity license plates when he's giving his questionnaire to Eleanor?
Yeah,
You got anything?
because there's the Lexus one.
Uh-huh.
There's the like not BMW. It's like a different kind of car one, and then there's the one that's like boob guy.
You got that one right.
Yeah,
You got
like
one
Lacey's
half right,
Lexus?
and you got one explicitly not right. The first one was Mama's BMW.
So it was BMW.
Yeah, so you got... No, but you said it wasn't BMW, it was
Yeah.
another type of car.
Yeah.
So you got that one, like, extra
Very
wrong.
wrong. Yeah.
And
the
it
right
was
path.
Lexus for Liz
Lexus for Liz.
and Boop Guy. You got that one.
Boob guy.
Your turn.
How much did Eleanor's friend sue the dry cleaner for?
900 for the dress and 80 million for emotional damage.
Yes. Emotional
Next
distress. but
one
I'll
for
take it.
you. What show did Tahani almost co-host?
360 with Anderson Cooper, her very
Yeah.
shy friend.
Well, it is called Anderson Cooper 360.
Anderson Cooper
not
360.
360 with Anderson Cooper. So
I
you got that
watched
one
the UK
just as wrong
version.
as the BMW one.
What
Yeah,
does
they say the number first there.
Yeah. What does Tahani compare her feelings for Eleanor to?
A stray cat or a stray dog?
I'll give it to you. It's being fond of a street cat.
Street cat, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Stray cat, same thing.
Stray dog, strut.
How many pizzas and what kind did the bad place deliver to Michael?
Was it like 60 Hawaiian pizzas or something like that?
Hawaiian pizza, but it was 100.
100.
I've
Now,
got
I
one
like
more.
Hawaiian pizza.
I don't like it, but I wouldn't take it away from anyone. It's because, in general, I'm very picky with sweet and salty mixes.
Yeah.
That's like the one thing that I am picky about. I'm not a very picky eater. So it's not my thing, but I can see why people like it for sure.
Yeah. Zach, we should go to the state fair this year together.
Okay, sure.
Be fun. I haven't been in a long time. Danny's never been. Let's go.
It is super underwhelming, and I will go
Yeah.
because you spend way more money than it's worth.
Yes.
But it is worth
But it's
to
such
be
an
like,
experience.
I'm going to take $200 and we're all going to try all the foods.
Yeah.
You know what I
exactly.
mean? We should do that.
I'll make
That'd
our
be
money
fun
back
for sure.
in carnival game wins.
Maybe
Zach.
make a little content out of it, a little content.
Exactly.
What do you think they give you at the carnival game that you can spend money on? That's just more money spent, my friend.
But the value. I have a giant fucking Squirtle sitting on my couch right now wearing a Snuggie that looks like a teddy bear.
Do you?
Yeah.
Do you have any more
motherfucker's just
questions?
vibing. No.
I've got one more. What does
Hit
the
me
bad
with it.
place train food car serve?
Ooh, room temperature Manhattan clam chowder.
Again, I feel like you'd do what you had to do.
Yeah.
If that were the case, you'd do what had to be done.
I'd eat it.
You'd take a couple bowls down.
Yeah, I love clam chowder. Room temperature and Manhattan clam chowder. I don't know what the fuck that means, but
We've got
Can't
some
be
trivia
good.
questions from some of our listeners that I would
We
love to
do.
quiz ourselves with this week. What do we got?
all right. So these questions are from Sophia.
Hello.
Sophia says, what year does Eleanor originally say she's born in? That's 1986.
1982.
Sophia.
Oh, 86, right.
Oh,
86,
Zach's wrong.
actually-
Bah, 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 bah. Drop the fucking confetti.
Miss Warwick. let the record show that my intent was correct.
Thanks, D. Thanks, DW. Do you think DW from Arthur is Dionne Warwick?
Well, before she grew up, yeah. of
Yeah,
course.
as
Right.
a little kid. Arthur punched the shit out of her.
Did you not know that Dionne Warwick was raised by a family of anteaters?
That tracks. What are the 3 examples of vanity licenses Michael lists? Do
Lexus
you know
for
them?
Liz, Mama's BMW, and Boob Guy.
Hey, you got it, Zach. That's a win.
Should I say you don't gotta be a boob or ass guy? There's room for both.
There's room for both.
And testicles while we're
you
at
can
it.
like whatever you want.
Yeah,
Just let the trunk people get married.
yeah. Just don't put it on a vanity license plate.
Exactly. How many cactuses in total does Janet give? Okay, we'll have our answer here.
Well, it just depends on
I'm
how
sticking with
she
11.
took that question. Because
Yeah.
was she counting in the office or was she counting the 4 that Janet presents?
Probably the
Right.
4.
We'll see.
Which celebrities did Tahani name drop? Okay, so first she does Taylor Swift and Kanye West and her best friend Beyonce.
And Anderson
then she
Cooper.
does Anderson Cooper.
Is that it in this one?
I think so.
And it's very
Okay.
important that we'll talk about what the cube does in that moment. I think says a lot.
Totally. Okay, trivia answers 1986.
Yep.
Mama's BMW, Lexus for Liz, and Boob Guy. 4 cacti.
Hey!
And then
I'm
we
the
got
best
the celebs right.
Around.
Tay-Tay,
No one's
Ye,
ever gonna bring me
Beyonce,
down.
And A. Coop. Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. We'll hear from
Sophia,
you
for
later in the
those.
program a little more, I think.
Yeah. Our next email with some trivia comes from Jennifer.
Okay. Jennifer Coolidge. Congrats on the
recent SAG winner. Yeah. I do want to watch White Lotus. It looks good.
I feel like you got it at this point.
Yeah, it's been recommended to me by lots of people.
Yeah.
All right, trivia cues from Jen. In what year did Eleanor say she was born? That would be 1986.
Not to be confused. Wait, was 85 the Taylor Swift album? Or 89?
1989 was the Tay-Tay
1985 is the Bowling for Soup joint / year my sister was born.
Oh, nice. In what year was Eleanor actually born? 1982.
No Bowling for Soup songs for that one.
No, none of that one. What TV show was Tahani invited to co-host?
360 with Anderson Cooper.
360 degrees with your host, Anderson Cooper. What Arizona delicacy did Eleanor buy for her cousin's daughter,
the churro
Julie?
Dog.
The churro
and why
dog.
don't you tell us all about what's on it since I did last
churro
time?
dog, you got your hot dog, but 2 churros for the bun. It's all tied together with a Slim Jim. And apparently there's unlimited ranch for dipping. I don't think that one was in mine. I don't think the ranch part was in my episode, if I'm being honest.
It's later. She says it. She goes back to it and says it.
So maybe I didn't catch it. Then maybe it's probably definitely
same scene,
not
different
in my
moment.
episode. Thank you for that trivia, friends, Romans, and countrymen. But now we're gonna ask you to lend us your ears as we dive into the episodes. Zach.
Absolutely.
That was a segue.
What a smooth segue.
Thank you. Call me Paul Blart.
Steven, what did you think of this week's episode? Last week was was the best episode of the show so far.
Yeah.
How do you think they follow it up in this one?
This one is not quite. If I'm ranking my faves of the season, this one would go behind last week's.
Sure.
But that's not to take anything away from it. I think it's a really good episode. I think that it's a departure from the more active action of last week's episode, and this one's more of the tension building, what's going to happen. But I think something cool about this episode that we'll touch on a lot is this isn't a resolution, because we don't really get resolutions in this show.
No.
But it's a kind of a new...
It's like a reopening.
Growth.
They're like tearing a hole in the wall of the show and moving forward through it.
And I think
for
that the way the episode starts that you're about to get into is so brilliant, because it starts the same way the first episode of the show does. And I think that it shows us this is a new Eleanor starting this section of her journey, and she's grown a ton, and that's really exciting. I think Michael's great, and the whole last sequence of the episode it creates so many more questions, gives some answers, and create. I think this show does cliffhangers about as well as any show that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And this episode
for a comedy,
is like
especially for a network comedy, probably definitely the best cliffhangers of any show.
Yeah,
with consistent cliffhangers that work. The only show I can think of that also kind of did that would be like The Last Man on Earth. Kind of did that a little bit. I only
saw the first few episodes of that show. I know you really liked it.
Okay, so this episode I thought was really good. I think you're right. It's not quite as good as last week's, but I really like how this is kind of the first of a type of episode The Good Place does a lot. I feel like there are a lot of episodes where our core 4 are in Michael's office or are in some type of office, and the clock is ticking and they've got to solve a problem. And that's what this episode is, and does really well. And I think it's quite genius how in a show where time doesn't matter because they're dead, consistently in this show we feel the ticking clock of actions have to be taken, decisions have to be made, or everything blows up. And that's great. I think that's really impressive. And you're right, the beginning of the episode is solid because it mirrors the first moments of the very first episode. You'd be right to maybe even confuse it for the beginning of the first episode until you see the look on Eleanor's face. She's awaiting an answer, but there's no gleeful hope in her eye like there was in the first one. She's waiting on bad news. Eleanor's waiting for Michael. I like how even the music, it mimics the music of the first episode, but then there's like a sour chord that kind of tells you what to feel in this moment.
It sets the mood really well.
We learn a lot here that what Michael is most worried about is a lot less Eleanor or the actions that she's done or where she ends up, and just a lot more on... There's never been a mistake like this before, and how could that have possibly happened?
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. He begins asking her questions, and Eleanor has a nice moment where she's like, well, what you had about how I died was totally me, but everything else was wrong, and when I heard, Eleanor, you're in the good place, you don't have to worry about it, how was I supposed to know that that was a mistake and that I should speak up right away? She's trying to paint the picture of, is what I did really that wrong?
Yeah.
Of course, she's been holding on to this information for a long time, so it was kind of wrong what she did, but it's a nice moment. We learned that Eleanor has lied about her age so much throughout her life that even when asked in a place where she needs to be truthful, she doesn't even know.
That's wild.
Do you think there are people who really have that?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there are definitely people that as they get older, they kind of stop keeping track of how old they are and have to realize, wait, am I 55, 6, 7? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But we're
think
still
there are
in that
people
phase.
who lie about their age, though. I don't know. I absolutely have said the wrong age sometimes, even at the ripe old age of 25. Sometimes
Well,
I
we're
get
just
it wrong.
starting to get to that point where each year isn't a landmark
significant.
anymore. So I'm like, 25, 20, damn, fuck, 26,
Yeah.
huh? That's where I'm at right now. So Michael calls in Janet with the file. Janet, it's another amazing Janet episode because Janet last week was murdered and her system is rebooting and it's rebooting very slowly. So Eleanor kind of has a little bit of leeway as Michael can't just get the file with all of Eleanor's information in it from Janet because Janet doesn't know what anything is. She comes into Michael's office and is like, what's that? What's that? What's this? And starts like shaking with a tree and playing with it, which is so cute. And when Michael asks Janet for the file, she gives a cactus. And that's the running thing in this episode is that every time Janet needs to give someone something, she's so certain that she has the right thing. And time after time, again, it is a cactus.
Every time a cactus.
Michael
Once,
says, this
twice,
might take
3
a while.
times
And Janet
a
goes,
cactus.
wee! And that's what cuts into the little theme thing. Really
So
funny.
funny.
So since Michael can't get the information the easy way, he has to use a litmus test, like the old-fashioned way out of a book instead of through a Janet system. Did your episode have the bit about like the nomadic Mongolian edition of the test?
No.
There's a part where first he grabs the wrong book and he opens it up and he's like, have you ever tried to slaughter a kinsman's yak?
That's
and Eleanor
so funny.
says, what? He's like, oh, sorry, I grabbed the nomadic Mongolian edition. And it goes through his books. He's like, okay, North American version. And opens it up.
That's so funny.
So that's your first misbit, I guess.
That's
it is
really
funny.
funny.
They're usually funny jokes that you can get why they were cut out of an episode because they don't really add anything. But they are usually some of the funniest jokes. Okay, so let's go through the questions that Michael asked Eleanor and kind of questioned them.
Question number 1. Did you ever commit a serious crime, such as murder, sexual harassment, arson, or otherwise?
No.
Did you ever have a vanity license plate like Mama's BMW, Lexus for Liz, or Boob Guy?
No.
Did you ever reheat fish in an office microwave?
Ew, no.
Have you ever paid money to hear music performed by California funk rock band the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
No.
Did you ever take off your shoes and socks on a commercial airline?
And socks? Ew, who would do that?
The first one was, did you ever commit a serious crime like murder, sexual harassment, arson, or otherwise? That's a pretty given of a question.
Yeah, pretty easy no for most of us.
Did you ever have a vanity license plate? What do you think about the notion of having a vanity license plate? Is it ever okay?
No. Unless you are like... No.
Is doing it sarcastically okay? Or is doing it just doing it?
Doing it is still doing it. You're contributing to the problem.
My mother has a vanity license plate
What's
on
it
her
say?
convertible car. It's awful. It's horrible.
I hope
you
it
don't
says
know-
Zacky's mom.
You don't know how hard it was when she was like, did you see my license plate? Like excited about it. And I was like, yes. It says gratitude with the number 2.
That's so wholesome.
No, it isn't. It's horrible. It's awful.
Why?
I just don't like it.
But why?
Yeah,
Who
what does-
gave her that
What does
idea?
she have to be grateful for?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's really fantastic.
Did you ever reheat fish in an office microwave? I feel like Steven would do that if he had to.
Trying to think.
Maybe not you haven't.
I
But
would, absolutely. If I was
If your
eating fish, I'd
leftovers that
heat
you
that
brought
shit
to
up.
eat for lunch was fish, you would heat it up.
I would. I have not, but I would.
But I'm not really a person that just immediately finds the fish smell negative or abhorrent. I don't mind
No. I have opened Monster 3XL.
Very fishy smell.
3XL Slim Jims in the office.
Oh,
though,
I was thinking
and
energy
that's a
drink.
smell.
That is a smell. You
a
like
smell.
a girthy Slim Jim.
I
You
like
have
a
to gnaw
thick
through
tree
a Slim
trunk
Jim.
Slim Jim.
Have you ever paid money to hear music played by California funk rock band the Red Hot Chili Peppers? Great question. I definitely
would.
went through a Chili Peppers phase, and I am
Yeah, me
definitely on the other side of that these days.
Really? I
think
still
they
like
are
their good stuff.
horrible. What a papa deepa doopa dappa deepa sippa doopa dap.
I like Under the Bridge and
No.
Californication. I like both those
No,
songs.
they suck.
And little girls from Sweden dream of silver screen flirtation.
I do think that Eleanor would go to their concert, though. She says
Yes.
no, but I think she would.
I would go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert.
This is a good one. Were you ever a waiter, and when seeing a customer who had eaten his or her food, you said sarcastically, "Guess you hated it"? Was that?
Oh,
in your
that wasn't
episode?
in my episode.
But isn't that the worst when a waiter comes by and is like, "Oh, guess you guys hated it"?
Yeah,
huh?
I don't like that. I don't like. Don't speak to me if you're the help. Like honestly, just do your job. I'll do mine.
Or I'm.
You know
more
how I
on the-
feel about Uber drivers, Zach.
But with the waiter, I like to give the aura of you don't have to do the corny wait service stuff with me.
Yeah.
You can ask me, what do you want? Here's some more to drink.
Because here's the thing,
and if
I'm
you
going
talk
to
to
give
me,
you
say
at
what
least
you
a
want to
20%
say.
tip, whether you're good or bad. That does not affect that for me. I will tip you the same. So
I will
don't-
tip someone more for better service, but
Yeah.
I'll tip the same no matter where I go.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
always 20%.
20%.
Even because I'm like, you could be having a bad day. I don't really care. You're bringing me my stuff. As long as I see you more than once the entire evening.
Now,
get
Lil and I
20%.
had an experience not long ago where we were at a restaurant for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Anderson, and it
Yeah.
was like a half hour before anyone came to our table to ask us if we
Oh,
wanted
that's
to drink.
terrible. I
It
hate
was
that.
another half hour until we got our food order taken, and then it
Ugh.
was another hour until we got our food, and we never got any refills.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
hate
never
that.
like a complaining person, but I was like, this sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the next question was, have you ever taken off your shoes and socks on a commercial airplane?
I get so mad. So I'm gonna out Danny M. Lugo right
Don't
now. 'cause
do
she-
it, Danny.
She takes her shoes off, not her socks, but she takes her shoes off on the plane, and I don't fuck with that.
Yeah, not cool.
That's a no-go for me.
I can like get why someone thinks they can do it because it's a getting comfortable for a long drive thing, but you've got to be socially aware that even if you don't have stinky feet, your feet probably do stink, and nobody wants to see your socks or your
I don't want to
shoes.
see your socks or I don't want it. I don't want any of
Well,
that.
now Steven wants to see all of the socks,
Yeah, give me the piggies.
but you're right, that's pretty bad.
Yeah,
Michael
I don't
stresses
like that.
because Eleanor takes it seriously and gets the questions right, but is kind of like, what do these questions
Mm-hmm.
matter? Who does take their shoes and socks off? And Michael stresses to her that people in the bad place do all these things.
Yeah.
And if you don't do everything right from now on, you're going to be one of those people stuck in the situation, and it's going to be horrible. So Eleanor asks Janet for water to calm down and receives another cactus.
So good.
Outside in the waiting area, Chidi and Tahani are discussing the situation. And Tahani is pretty dead set on what Eleanor did was wrong. It's caused a lot of stress. Getting rid of her is the right thing to do. And I like that Chidi still kind of questions that and is like, maybe consider what Eleanor is going through.
Yeah.
And how this is all felt for her. And when you're talking to Michael, try to think about how hard that was, which I think is really cool.
Chidi is just the bestest boy at all times. You know, he cares about Eleanor, and he's so shocked at her confession that I think he more so than even herself is seeing how much she's grown already.
Well,
and
not
is really
everybody
proud of
knows that Chidi knows. Practically nobody knows that Chidi knows.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I think
Yeah,
she
just
can really
Jason.
feel for Chidi. She says that she'll do it for Chidi and then compares it to when her friends Taylor, Kanye, and Beyonce had their little foible.
Exactly.
Do you think Tahani would still be friends with Kanye, or would that look too bad?
That would look too bad.
It'd look pretty bad.
But she would secretly still be his friend because she'd want his admiration.
Sure. Michael asks Eleanor back in the office, continuing the questions, if she'd ever been on or cared about any of the Bachelor shows, which I think is really funny, and
really
I wanted to
funny.
know if you are that type of person.
I hate
Okay.
the Bachelor shows. I actively bully my coworkers that like it.
And I'm down more than your average bear for a good reality competition show. That is not one of them. Janet shows up with the file. It's a really funny moment.
Michael, good news. I was able to obtain Eleanor Shellstrop's file.
Is it actually a cactus?
I don't understand.
I want to see the file for Eleanor Shellstrop. Is that what you have, or do you have a cactus?
I have the file.
You're sure? You have the file and not a cactus?
That is correct. I have Eleanor Shellstrop's file. I do not have a cactus.
Excellent. Please, give me the file.
Here you go.
Thank you, Janet.
You're welcome.
So Eleanor thinks this means that she's doing well and that they can just call it a day because Janet doesn't have the answers. So let's just quit it here. But Michael is so caught on the mistake that's been made in this mistake-free world that he can't just let it be. So he brings out something he's never had to do before. He brings out the lie detector cube, which I think is just one of those great Good Place inventions of a delightful visual that serves a great purpose.
Well, and I think that something that the show takes advantage of in the best way is this is like, we don't have to be bound by any of the inventions or rules of Earth because we're not there anymore. You know, this is the Good Place. They have everything. They've been around for an unfathomable amount of time and have created everything they could possibly need for any situation. So I love it. I think that it's great when they do stuff like this. A very
well-realized world, for sure. And Eleanor opens it with, he says, tell a lie about yourself, tell the truth about yourself. And we learn that Eleanor hates the opera and she loves women's MMA.
Women's MMA is great. I watch a lot of MMA. I watched a boxing event yesterday. Logan Paul took his first. Jake or Jake Paul?
I don't know. I think Logan's a wrestler now.
Okay, so Jake Paul took his first loss of his career against Tommy Fury. Entertaining event, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah, I watched it illegally. I don't pay for pay-per-view fights, but I do watch them illegally online.
You heard that? Our police demographic.
Yeah, all the cops that listen to this show.
Yeah. We'll take money from anyone. Come on.
Yeah.
We will gladly, for the right price point, say this show was brought to you by the so-and-so police department of Omaha, Nebraska. Boy, do we love our... No.
Throw us money. We'll take it.
Eleanor can't lie about anything anymore because of this lie detector thing. There's no point. But she kind of still gets out of it because she says, no, she didn't murder Janet, which is true. Yes, she knows who did it, which is true. And no, she won't say who did it, which is true. But Michael assures her that, of course, it would be one of her friends then. And he's going to interview everyone and it's going to be found out who murdered Janet. And that person will be reviewed and judged and maybe sent to the bad place in the same way as Eleanor, which is really scary.
Well, and I think for the first time, Eleanor is thinking, oh no, because of this, I could get someone else sent to the bad place now too, which is a terrifying thought for her.
Of course, Chidi doesn't deserve to go there, and he would be the one that does. So she goes outside, and immediately Chidi thanks Eleanor for saying the right thing and for confessing. But Eleanor tells him this isn't good. It's only a matter of time before they find out he's the one that murdered Janet. I like in this scene how it's casually revealed that Jason's been in the background the whole time in the waiting room. He's just like in a corner.
Jason's really funny in this episode, too.
Jason is really funny in this episode.
He doesn't get a ton of moments, but the ones he does get are so hilarious.
Which is mostly the right way to use the character, I think.
Yes, agreed.
Eleanor tells them that all three of them, Chidi, Eleanor, and Jason, might be sent to the bad place because of this. Because now that one tether's been pulled, everything is going to come out. And they're all going to face the music for it. Eleanor casually drops a Kant reference and said that any lying would be wrong. So maybe she should just be honest, or maybe Chidi should just be honest. But on the other hand, snitches do get stitches.
I like that, you know, that they added. Eleanor is learning, she's growing. She can casually drop a ethics reference like that. It's great.
It's the proudest moment of Chidi's life, as he might be being sent to the bad place. Tahani is questioned by Michael and doesn't really give him anything. She just kind of has a roundabout way of saying Eleanor should probably be sent to the bad place, but won't say anything directly. She just like circles around a thing. I like how they use the lie detector cube to pretty much confirm all of Tahani's name drops are true.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite Tahani things, because it seems like she's lying and she's doing all these things like constantly, but no, she truly
She's
did live
certainly
the life she
facetious,
says.
but she's not a liar.
No.
Absolutely. And then it ends, of course, with Michael saying, "Thank you, Tahani. You've been a great help," and she hasn't. So the thing turns
That
red.
was really funny.
And Michael gets a little embarrassed. That was cute. Chidi and Eleanor are preparing Jason for questioning, and this is my favorite Jason line in the whole episode. I hope it was in your cut. When he says, "Don't worry, I got you. I'll just tell Michael you're the bomb, and he's got a dope soul and hella ethics, and he'll be all, dang, Giannu, you just freaked my bean for real." Was that in your
that
episode?
wasn't in my episode at all.
It was my favorite Jason line of the whole
That's
episode.
so funny.
You just freaked my bean for real.
Freaked my bean for real.
And Eleanor's like, we've got to make sure he doesn't say that. And they tell him about the cube, and he thinks it's the Allspark from Transformers.
Yes,
Is that
which
in
it
your
does
episode?
look like that.
It does. Chidi tells him to only smile and nod when being interviewed by Michael. And what I'd like to say is, a little bit later, this episode goes in a different direction, but I kind of would have enjoyed the version of this episode that just takes place questioning.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a bodily episode, because the first half of it kind of is. Giannu goes in for questioning. Michael's office now is just cluttered with cactuses. There's dozens of cactuses. Jason sticks to this nodding and smiling like Chidi told him to, but it makes all of his answers really vague. Michael's trying to figure out, well, yes, she should stay, or yes, she should go. And then while Michael's pondering his existence, Jason can't help but touch a cactus. And I want to talk about this scene in the spoiler segment at the end of the podcast. But Jason can't help but touch a cactus and hurt himself. And he says, ouch. And that's enough to tell Michael that, no, he's got to stand strong and he's got to do the right thing. And he sends off Jason for helping him. And Jason wants the cactus and he leaves with the cactus.
Which was so cute.
Before Michael can call in Chidi, which would just end everything if he tells any of the truth, Janet brings Michael the real file. And
I kind of wish that they at least had gotten Chidi in the room when that happened, and like maybe even done
just
a scene
to the
where,
moment
like,
where he's gonna confess, and
exactly.
then Janet
pops up, but then outside the room you just see Michael like burst open the door, and he's like, "Eleanor, get in here," but it's just because he brought the file. I think something like that could have been funny and added a little bit of tension.
But he calls Eleanor back into the office. The file, we know it's going to be something cactus related, because it can't just be that easy. It's supposed to be full of Eleanor's life events, but it's just filled with dozens of pictures of the same cactus, different angles, really funny. But at the end, there's like fragmented bits of what it's actually supposed to be, because Janet is starting to come to, and it has.
So let me tell you something, Zach.
Sure.
Cactus pictures not in my episode.
No file of cactus pictures?
No file of cactus pictures in my episode.
It's just the file.
It's just the file.
That sucks.
I know. He goes right in with talking about her niece.
Because in my episode, Janet brings the file, and he flips through it, and it's just a bunch of pictures of the same cactus, but at the end, it's fragmented bits of the real
I don't
thing.
think that was in mine.
Doesn't that make so much more story sense to include that? So yeah, it has just little details of Eleanor's life, her highest and lowest point values, which then brings up that Eleanor spent time with her cousin's daughter, Julie, going to the mall and enjoying churro dogs. And even though the churro dogs disgust Michael, the point is nice.
Yeah.
But then there's the bad thing that happened, which gets us into this week's big backstory segment of the episode. Michael brings up a t-shirt company, which Eleanor just starts clamming up and cringing, and we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you, but don't judge me. That's literally what we're doing.
That's what we're doing here.
So we get into the flashback of the episode, which I remember when this originally aired, it was another one of those flashbacks that I didn't really give a shit about. But in hindsight, I do think it sheds enough light on the situation to be worthwhile. Eleanor, she wants it to start off by explaining that she has this really awful roommate named Madison who has vanity plates, just unlikable, and she won't let Eleanor borrow this fancy dress because she has some stupid reason that she can't. And of course, Eleanor does borrow the dress and tries to put it on and rips it. We then learned that later on, when Madison discovers the rip in her dress, that Eleanor keeps quiet and lets Madison think that it's the fault of the dry cleaner and goes on to sue them for $80,900,000, bankrupting them and putting them out of business, which is really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
And Michael is like, wow, that's so bad. but wait, this story is about T-shirts, isn't it? So there's more to it. It gets worse.
Well, and I love that framing device. It reminds me of one of my favorite episodes of Psych, where they show up at his dad's house and are like, bad things, and it's like, well, then you stopped there, right? And then, it just keeps progressively getting worse. I think it's a funny joke. Well,
it's a great way because kind of the whole second act of the episode is this flashback instead of cutting to and from it throughout the episode, which I think works pretty well for this case. Too. Even though I just said I would have liked the bottle episode version, I do like what they did here with the flashback. They do occasionally remind us that what's going on in the office is going on and that Eleanor's the one telling the story to Michael. So video of Madison yelling at the dry cleaners goes viral and the internet starts calling her the dress bitch, which feels very much like something that would still happen today.
Yeah.
And Eleanor kind of takes this as her excuse, since Madison was terrible, to just put the blame on her.
Like, oh, this isn't my fault.
And to wash her hands of it. Which, I don't know, maybe I could have excused because of how egregiously Madison
If it had stopped there,
works.
yeah.
Even though, right.
She has a vanity plate, Zach. She's bad.
They realized that they could make a lot of money if they make T-shirts of her as the dress bitch. And
it almost seems like Eleanor kind of said it jokingly. And then when the T-shirts show up, she's like,
so we're doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. But she doesn't fight it that hard. But
it's
she
all
does
because
at
of her.
least
Well, she
acknowledge
definitely takes her share of the money and buys the same dress with it.
Exactly. That's shitty. That was pretty shitty.
And that story is enough, even though, like in the grand scheme of a life.
It wasn't murder or anything.
No, but it is character defining.
Well, and because the ripple effect of her not telling the truth about the dress, those people lost their business and,
And her friend, even if she is a terrible vanity plate,
had her reputation ruined. And
her life was ruined in a way that might have been coming either way, but didn't need to happen that way or that severely. Yeah. I always can't help but feel a little bad for the people that go viral for doing something. Especially like I think of that cop lady who had sex with everybody in the office, and now her face was just everywhere.
Seen the memes. Yeah.
Her face was just everywhere, and after a while, I'm like, no, like, she got fucked. Cool. I don't know. It makes me mad when people dogpile on a regular, everyday person who is not used to everyone on the internet knowing what they look like. Yeah. Now their whole life is going to be affected by an affair.
Yeah.
Like, in a way that it shouldn't have been. That's how this feels. And just that story is enough for Michael to break out the question, Eleanor, do you think that you belong in the good place? And Eleanor doesn't have to think about it. She says no, which shows her growth, but I don't know. She is got. So Michael calls the bad place. Did you get the bit where he calls them and gets tricked by the answering machine a couple times?
No, not at all.
He calls the bad place on this like weird cube phone looking thing.
Well, he like call in mine. He just calls them and Trevor picks up right away.
No, Trevor picks up like, hey, it's the bad place. And Michael's like, okay, I'm Michael from neighborhood so-and-so, the architect. And it's like, gotcha, this is the answering machine. Leave a message. And then he starts again. My name is Michael. I'm from neighborhood so-and-so. And then it goes, just kidding. We are actually here. Got you twice. And then he says a third time, I'm Michael. I'm from neighborhood so-and-so. We've got Eleanor. I'm sure you're looking for her. You can come get her. That's all that you got?
No, I got like, Trevor actually answered and like.
That's so weird.
Yeah. Interesting. The fake voicemail is a running gag on Archer that's really funny.
Oh, but it's the worst thing if anybody actually does it.
I would never forgive anyone. I would never speak to them again.
You will fall for it. Hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Just kidding. That's the worst. And I would hang up and never talk to them again.
Bad behavior.
Okay, the bad place train arrives, and we meet Trevor and his posse. And it immediately like sends fear into the neighborhood. You see people like running away from their presence. I thought Adam Scott as Trevor in this episode is great.
I think this is the perfect kind of role for him. I like Parks and Rec a lot, but I much prefer him as the asshole.
Severance is really good. You should watch Severance.
I've heard it's really good.
It is really good. He's the star of that. But you're right. He plays this character so well, this weaselly, nasty dude. He gives Michael the jar of nuts prank that's classic. Yeah. And he opens the nuts and it's a bunch of like flaming
the fire snake ate the nuts.
You're too nice to prank. It was really funny.
Hi, you look like a piece of crap. Are you Eleanor? Dude, you're like a legend in the bad place. Check this out. Huh? Pretty great, right?
And that Trevor's wearing a dress bitch shirt, which is
My
a really
God.
funny touch. But Trevor also doesn't know how this mistake could have possibly happened. But he does know that Eleanor belongs with them, and he grabs her and takes her to start the train. But Michael says, no, that's not quite fair. Let's give Eleanor just a little bit of time to say goodbye. And Trevor's like, oh, you nice people. And they agree to give Eleanor 30 minutes to say goodbye, but only 30 minutes so Trevor doesn't miss any of The Bachelor.
Yeah. Oof.
So back home, Eleanor gets a second to pack her bags and tells Chidi, a really important moment here, how much it sucks that she has to go to the place where all the murderers go, and that maybe there should just be a medium place for people who kind of suck in a cool way. And Chidi agrees with her and apologizes that that's not the case. And she apologizes to him for dragging him into it and for never doing the laundry / tricking him into doing the laundry, which of course she was never tricking him.
He's like, I asked you to stop many times.
This episode doesn't have any moments as sweet as the previous episode did, but it is sweet when she offers him a handshake, a fake soulmate handshake, and he goes for the hug.
That was really
nice
sweet.
Moment. And then Jason and Tahani show up to say goodbye in a sweet moment where Tahani, just like she couldn't flat out admit that Eleanor belongs in the bad place, she can't flat out admit that they're friends and that she'll miss her, but in a way that read to me as cute in this moment, for sure.
Yeah, I thought it was really cute because they have a really cute friendship. Yeah, and I think that this
like a
is
frenemy,
like
heavy on the friendship relationship, kind of. Yeah, it's cute. And I love the way after Tahani saying she's like a street cat and everything, that then as they stop hugging, Tahani's like, "Oh, goodbye forever." Which I thought was really funny. And then Jianyu gives quiet, few word wisdom to Eleanor and tells her, I hate to see you go, but I love to watch you walk away. Which was a really great moment.
So cute.
Which Eleanor's like, that's exactly what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chidi walks Eleanor to the train and hands her off to Trevor. Trevor pretends to be, like, impressed with Chidi and the work that he did, but then it's like, blah, 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 moving on, okay, don't care, and tells Eleanor, you should smile more. You have such a pretty smile, which is just disgusting.
Yeah.
Bad. Men, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but don't tell a lady to smile.
Don't tell a lady to smile.
I hope
Jesus
you don't.
Christ.
Gross. The stuff we learn about the Bad Place train is just so perfect. How it's going to make thousands of stops for literally no reason. And also, you'll notice it's very hot in here, and it'll get 1 degree hotter every time you think about it. And Eleanor just shudders a little bit. And my favorite moment of Trevor of the whole episode is his point. You thought about it. I think that's so funny.
I think it's really clever because it's just going to keep going up. It's evil. And I like when they do Bad Place things that are so, like, small scale evil that it's so funny.
Irritating and unavoidable are the types of evils. Now, we do know that they have penis deflating monster or whatever, that they have some really intense torture, but they have so perfected everything that just is nails on a chalkboard to any human. And that would be one of them. If it just got hotter and hotter every time you thought about it, that'd be horrible. And it would start as light torture, but that would get to massive torture.
Yeah, it would.
Because then you just can't stop thinking about it, and it can't stop getting hotter.
Yeah.
That'd be awful.
It'd be terrible.
We're almost to the end of the episode. Chidi rushes into Michael's office, which is now just cluttered with pizzas because the Bad Place delivered all these Hawaiian pizzas as a prank, which is super funny. The type of back and forth between the Good Place and Bad Place representatives is even more funny than the torture, because it's like Michael's the dean of the college and Trevor's like the frat leader.
Absolutely.
Chidi comes in and can't help but confess that he murdered Janet and knew about Eleanor this whole time, and uses this as hopefully leverage as a way to explain that Eleanor, after her life, has been learning and improving.
I thought this was a great Chidi
scene. This mistake is more Michael's fault than Eleanor's.
Yeah.
And Michael can't help but agree and says that Jianyu told me that too, which really confuses Chidi. And Chidi talks Michael into finding some way to help Eleanor, even though there's no award for most improved player, which nice, like saying the title of the episode in the dialogue.
They said the thing.
Michael realizes that just sending her to the Bad Place isn't solving and getting rid of the issue at the root of all this. So the train's starting to take off and Eleanor is going off to the bad place, and Michael rushes to stop it and take Eleanor off the train until they solve the mystery. But Trevor mentions the big cliffhanger from the episode, that until they learn what it is, that this whole time there's been the real Eleanor. Of course there's been the real Eleanor, the charitable humanitarian Eleanor, who has been in the bad place, while this Eleanor Shellstrop has been in the good place. And now the people in the good place who didn't know this have that weighing on their shoulders, that the more they try to prove Eleanor's spot in the good place, the more the true good Eleanor is being pushed into the bad place.
Yeah.
And as we meet the quiet, meek, ratted clothing real Eleanor, that's how the episode ends. There's this nice person who is in the bad place. Not only was Eleanor maybe going to send Chidi and Jason to the bad place, she has sent someone else to the bad place.
There.
And so did Michael. And it's a really interesting way to end the episode. Of course, all of this is filtered by what we know moving forward in the show, and we'll talk about the spoilers in a second. But if I can put myself back in the shoes of not knowing what happens, it's a wonderful way to raise the stakes when it feels like they've already been raised to season finale highs, and we've still got like 5 episodes.
Which is great.
Steven, tell me your thoughts about the episode now that we've discussed it. What do you think?
You know, I think it's a great one. I would put it probably in my top 3 or 4 of the
That sounds
season.
right. So far.
Yeah, so far. But I think that it does a great job moving the story along in ways that you wouldn't necessarily expect. I think the good Eleanor, or the bad place, the Eleanor that was supposed to be in the good place, that's a great reveal. I remember being like, oh shit. Like, I never had even considered that as a possibility.
But it makes so much sense. Of course, why did we not think, where's the real Eleanor? She's been in the bad place,
there's a
suffering.
Person. And it's such a good twist, and I think that it sets up kind of this new territory that we're in, where the bad place people are going to stay in the good place for a while. Now there's 2 Eleanors, and I'm sure the bad place, we got to take somebody back, you know, so I think it's going to be interesting.
I think this episode does all the things that you need for a great Good Place episode, because it has these big story questions that are introduced that change everything. It has incredible world building that makes this world that we're living in a little bit bigger by seeing what's actually going on in the bad place just a little bit, and learning a little bit more about the train's connectivity to all the different ports of this universe or whatever. And it has great moments for all 4 of our humans, for Eleanor, for Jason, for Tahani, and Chidi. Sure, it doesn't live up to the highs of last week's mid-season like climax episode, but it has all the things you need for a great Good Place episode. So I don't really have anything bad to say about it at all.
I'm super excited for it setting up, because I think that the bad place crew when they're in the good place is so funny, so funny, and I'm excited that we get that now.
Well, we'll be talking about that next week, but before we do, and before we get into our last little bits, let's talk spoilers for a second. So we're going to talk spoilers, everyone. If you don't want to know what happens next, skip ahead a few minutes, and we'll be talking about our good place, bad place decision. But right now, we're in the spoiler room. The first thing I want to talk about is Jason. What torture of Jason Michael is performing in that room with the cactus. Like, even pushing the cactus closer to Jason, so he
knowing
will touch
that
it
he's
and
gonna
prick
touch
his
it.
finger. I thought that was devious, and I thought it was great.
Very devious.
And also torturing Jason with the, well, should she stay or should she not stay? And Jason can't do anything.
He can't talk because he wants to talk so bad.
Also, let's talk about how, of course, the real Eleanor is one of the same demons that everyone in the neighborhood has made.
Who I think has some really funny beats coming up in the
probably
next couple
the main
seasons with
demon,
her.
like outside of our core cast, that she has a place in the show, and we'll see a lot of her. And how you've been watching the overacting demons, that is this character.
That's her, and
there's a lot of that.
Funny. I was just brought up to Danny when later in the show when she gets the limp and nobody gives a shit. It's so funny.
Now, how about the Michael rescuing Eleanor of it all?
So,
what's your angle on that as torture?
This is where it gets, everything messed up, because the one thing that Michael didn't predict was Eleanor confessing. So he has to concoct this whole new plan, with all the demons. And part of it was, okay, let's put them through the torture of having her confess and figuring out all this stuff.
Sure.
We're going to keep thinking somebody's going to the bad place. I think it's all part of it. Part of the torture is her thinking she's going and saying, wait, stop. Now we're going to torture her with the fact that she sent someone else there. Right. And that's just going to continue this cycle through the rest of this season and into the next one.
Well said.
And I think that it's very, very deviously smart by Michael to do.
Well, it certainly is torture. If you know what's going on, you don't read it as Michael's really having a change of heart. Yeah. He's also torturing Chidi in taking away his out of the situation. Yeah. By making him confess. Now maybe he's going to go to the bad place, and now he's stuck knowing the other... it's grand torture, and really, truly the long game, because they know they can't send Eleanor to the real bad place because they're in the bad place.
They're in the bad place.
There can't be somewhere for the train to show up because there isn't really. They're already in it, you know? They could go to a different bad place neighborhood, I suppose, but this is all just chess and drawing it out as long as they can. Yeah. But as a first-time viewer, it feels so immediate, and the danger that the characters are in feel as real to us as it does to them when it's all just the long con, and it's so smart.
So clever. Love it.
Anything else? Spoilers? Do you want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about our good place, bad place deliberations. We do this every week if you're new. We're going to talk about, just based on this episode, who we think earns a spot in the good place and who we think earns a spot in the bad place. But I have an idea. A lot of times I make these decisions on the fly. Should we open with our written in answers?
Yeah, let's do it.
And I might even let that sway me.
Okay, so this one's from Sophia. Great. Sophia says, "Hi guys, I'm Brian's daughter, Sophia.
Whoa,
Brian Thurman, a longtime patron,
early adopter,
friend of the show. Yeah. The Good Place is my favorite show ever, next to Community, and I was so excited to hear you guys are doing The Good Place. Yay. Nice. First, I think Tahani's in the bad place. Tahani doesn't care about what Eleanor has done, but only how it affects her, which is true to her character, but selfishness comes back to bad place behavior. Absolutely. For The Good Place, as always, Chidi. Chidi can do no wrong in my eyes, but especially in this episode, he is so selfless. Even when Eleanor, and subsequently the neighborhood's problem, gets sent to the bad place, he still defends her. Yeah. Chidi is the obvious choice for Good Place, and he continues to shine throughout the episode. I couldn't agree more with that Chidi pick, Sophia. Yeah, the Tahani pick. I didn't think about that, but I think I
didn't look at it that way, but I can see it. Thanks for writing in. Keep writing us in.
Our next email is from friend of the show, Autumn. Autumn says, bad place is going to be Tahani and Eleanor are tied for me. Tahani wasted no time to jump all over and judge Eleanor the moment she could. Plus, she continues to be insufferable. I just don't ever think she will make the Good Place with me, but I could be wrong. Eleanor in bad place, obviously, because of the crummy things she did in her flashback. I'm firm but fair. Good Place. Hard to choose because I couldn't think of anyone during all my watch-throughs except for Janet, who is just so pure and desires to help even though her brain is scrambled as she reboots.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. Well, thank you, Autumn, for that Good Place, Bad Place. And then we've got one more from Jen. Jen's Bad Place is Trevor because of his "you should smile more" comment.
Yeah. He is the bad place, of course.
And her Good Place is Chidi. He continued to defend Eleanor throughout the episode and then confessed to Michael about Janet. Good behavior.
Okay, I think I know. I think I've decided. We're going to hear just a little bit more from our friends that emailed in at the very end of the show. Yeah, let's get into it. My bad place. I think I mean, it's kind of a gimme, but Trevor, come on. Not only is he from the bad place and should go back and stay there, he's the worst type of person. And people that awful aren't so far removed from reality than his performance. I feel like I've seen people that are that annoying, and it just, get rid of them.
I also have Trevor. And I just remembered a spoilery thing. Can I say it now?
No, it's too late, but hold on to it for a future week if you want.
Yeah. I'll mention it to you after we're done.
Sure.
Trevor's my bad place. Bad behavior, making it real hot and sweaty, disregarding Chidi, saying women should smile more. All that is not good behavior.
How about instead of telling people what emotion they should be feeling, be the type of person that may make someone smile if they're in the mood to smile.
Yeah.
A good place, I'll say, I think I'm going to give my good place to Michael this week.
Yeah.
Because he stands up from the bureaucracy, from the world that he works in, that he has worked so hard to be in charge of a neighborhood, to say maybe he's not fully on the side that Eleanor deserves to be rewarded for her change, but that he is willing to say something's not right here, and I will put my neck on the line to fix this.
Yeah, I think that's great behavior. I gave the
Spoilers
Chidi this week, but
Michael.
I can get behind that Michael vote. I think Eleanor also showed a lot of growth this week. Yeah, the flashback was bad, but I think Eleanor was in my consideration for Good Place this week. But yeah, I gave it to Chidi. I think that him confessing and possibly giving up his safe spot in the Good Place to help someone that he owes nothing to is
someone
really
so
incredible.
Indecisive. It's a very decisive action.
Yeah, and I think that it starts to show that Eleanor makes Chidi more decisive, helps
absolutely.
him grow, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's our Good Place, Bad Place. All we've got to do now is wrap up the show. I want to mention that next week we're going to be talking about Someone Like Me as a Member, the 9th chapter of The Good Place. I'm very excited to get into it. And if you've been enjoying hearing the people that write into us giving us their Good Place, Bad Place, giving us their trivia questions, email those into us for future episodes. We call out on Twitter at TimeKnifePod which ones we need. You can email us your trivia questions, your Good Place, Bad Place decisions, and just any thoughts you have on our podcast or on future or past episodes of The Good Place that we've covered to timeknifepod@gmail.com, and we'll do our best to get them read on the show. It's a lot of fun to have you guys be as much a part of this as we are, because we know we're not that interesting.
Exactly.
We're not hundreds and hundreds of hours of us talking on the internet interesting. It's you guys that help drive that forward.
Absolutely.
What did you say? Nothing?
I say we need more diversity. Where we're two guys. Sometimes we need some sprinkle of else on us, you know. Just come sprinkle us.
Sprinkle us in
Sprinkle
else.
us down.
We've got a few more notes.
I want to read something from our good friend and patron, Autumn.
Yeah, what's Autumn got to say about this one?
Autumn says, "Hey guys, it's been a few weeks, but I'm happy to announce that Zach and Stephen Marsh was born on February 5th. What
Great.
tier reward was that again?"
Well,
LOL.
For the copyright infringement of our name, our lawyers will be in touch.
Yeah, we're going to get a cease and desist on that baby quick. LOL, his actual name is Ian Link Marsh. I like that. Ian's a strong name. He's a little Gaelic. Are you of Gaelic descent, Autumn?
Am I? Is it Ian spelled differently, or is it...
She wrote a pronunciation. It's Ian.
Cool. I like
it's spelled Ayaan. I like that.
I like that.
My brother's name is Ryan, spelled Rayyan. So I'm all with the pronunciation. Yeah,
sure. I love that.
So I've been in a daze and unable to write. Well, sure, you're holding gold with the first pod baby.
Yeah, Autumn. What are you doing here? You made a person. You're contributing people to society.
Truly.
What the fuck are you wasting your time?
Get your shit together,
to
Autumn.
us idiots.
I hope we were the first thing your baby heard. Like, you're like, shut the fuck up to the doctors and like put on.
Yeah, some people put big headphones on the stomach to play their favorite music, but Autumn plays her favorite Zach and Steven bits. And the kid just came out very emotionally deranged.
Yeah.
So good luck, Autumn.
It made me laugh after I watched this episode with the line asking if Eleanor had paid money to watch Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah.
Someone had parked their car in front of my house to paint a mural under the train tracks we live next to. They were blaring the Red Hot Chili Peppers on a loop for 3 straight hours. So your baby's just being gifted gold to its ears.
One time I went into a pizza place to get pizza, and they were exclusively through a Bluetooth speaker listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers in that Papa John's.
I love it. The introduction of Adam Scott as Trevor is one of my favorites. I think the more I see him and stuff, the more impressed I am with him. From being in Step Brothers to being Ben in Parks and Rec and his most recent role in Severance, he's really well-rounded. I really gotta check Severance out.
Severance is really good.
And he does have my favorite scene in Step Brothers, so I give him points for that too. Without further ado, my favorite moment / lines from the episode, anything Eleanor's roommates say. When Eleanor explains the t-shirt debacle to Michael and prefaces it with, "It doesn't make me look great, so don't judge me." And Michael says, "That's literally the purpose of this entire exercise."
Ted Danson, man.
So
he
good.
can deliver a line.
And also when Trevor's introduced and throws the gag snake in a can to Michael, "Oh, flaming snake ate all the nuts you brought me." So funny. Hope you guys have a wonderful week, Autumn.
Thank you, Autumn.
Autumn,
Thanks
thank you
for
so
writing
much, and biggest congratulations to you and little Zach and Steven Ian Link Marsh. Quite a mouthful of a name. Yeah. We can call him
coming
ZSAL.
from a mouthful of a namesake, you know.
Yeah. So thanks so much for writing in. We're very honored to be such a major part of your childbearing process.
Well, jokes aside, congratulations.
Yeah.
Because having a kid and the majesty of the human body and what it is capable of is amazing. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope you and your family. My sister just had another baby.
Oh,
so
congrats.
I'm feeling all that love.
Did your sister name it after us too?
No.
What's the name, Zach? Give us the name.
Emily.
Let the internet rate it.
The name is
that's
Emily.
Cute. I like
it's a
Emily.
cute name.
It's a cute
Nothing
name.
wrong with an Emily.
Nothing
Congratulations,
wrong with that.
Autumn. Thanks for writing in. Guys, timeknifepod@gmail.com. Tell us what you named your kids.
Yeah.
We want to know.
Give us all the names.
I want to shout out before we get out of here, patreon.com/can'tdisappoint-podcast. Starting at $5 a month, you can get all of our exclusive content and support our show as we're getting ready to launch a second weekly free feed podcast. It's a great time to sign up on the Patreon and help support us in that. And starting at $10, you can get your name shouted out on this program every
We'll
week.
say it first
check us
and
out.
last if you want.
Patreon.com/can'tdisappoint-podcast. Steven, where else can the people find us?
You know, if you want to ask us what you should name your baby, go follow us on Twitter and Instagram over at TimeKnifePod. You can also find the video version of this show to see whatever anime statue I have to my side, as well as my disheveled plushes.
My
on this
cup
bed.
of water
Ooh.
on display. I've got some cool stuff
Aspen
on display.
Creek.
That's okay.
Zach
Yeah.
does have cool stuff on display.
Shout out to Aspen Creek Grill.
Yeah. But if you want to check that out, go search the name of the show on YouTube. You can find all the episodes of this show with a video accompaniment, as well as some other stuff that we've done in the past, interviews with cast members of shows and things like that over on the YouTube channel. So go check us out. Hit the like, subscribe, slap the bell to be notified, and yeah, check us out.
And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, if this is how you've been consuming the show, thank you. That's cool.
Yeah,
I like that we've added video to this one. Everyone,
I do too.
It's been
I've
so
been
much
calling
fun.
it a video podcast for years, so I'm glad we finally got
We
it.
finally caught up to Steven.
Yeah.
Next week we'll be back. Someone like me as a member. It's going to be a lot of fun. Get us out of here, buddy.
All right. From inside the Time Knife, Black Lives Matter.
I'm Zach.
I'm Steven.
We love you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Or you should play Go Robot. When I go robot.
Why would I
Remember
play
that song?
that? Why would I play that one? Give me the bass slap or pick a hit. Let me get a hit.
I don't want to ever feel.
All right. See you guys next time. Bye. Nice.
Thank you.